rock here just a second. So ready, two, one, camera there.
Hey,
All right. Well, welcome today. We are at Life's Copilot is once again bringing you a panel of experts on how to, this time it's going to be on how to downsize, how to declutter, how to basically make your life more functional. I think a lot of us can find ourselves in those circumstances. We got a bunch of people here that know what they're doing. So we're going to go to them in just a second. I'm going to start off though by going to a screen share because I just want to introduce everybody here and then we'll kind of go from there. So we'll get back off the screen share in a minute. So today, decluttering and downsizing made easy. We have Anne Marie Bell with Linda's Daughter, Renee Anderson with Caring Transitions, Liz Erickson with Halo, Paul Ellsworth with Caring Transitions, a different one on time, and then Cindy Garlock. Is Cindy here? Well, if she isn't, if she pops on, then we'll just introduce her when she gets here, okay? So basically, I'm going to go ahead and I just wanted to do that and get us started on this, and then we're going to go back to, let's see if I can get off my screen share. And I'm just going to have each one of you introduce yourselves and what you do. So, Liz, let's start with you.
Hey, Jim, real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, Cindy Garlock is a participant, so you want
to okay, let me get her for you. I can find her.
And then make me a host, and then before I leave, I'll try to make you a host back, okay?
Okay, all right. Cindy is on here someplace, so let's get you promote to panelist. You are now promoted. Okay, now going back and getting Matt and make you host. Okay.
Yep, go ahead and continue.
Okay, so Liz, introduce yourself and who you are and what you do.
Sure. I'm an angel with Halo Senior Solutions. My role is project manager. Basically, I help families and clients get unstuck and help relieve them of the feeling of overwhelm so that they can start to enjoy their journey moving. And I do this by helping oversee and manage their personal moves.
Excellent. So I knew you were an angel. I could see the wings and the whole bit here, just, that whole thing. So, yeah. So, Anne, would you like to explain who you are and what you do?
For sure. Thank you so much. I am Anne Marie Bell. I own Linda's Daughter. So my mother called me Anne Marie. My friends call me Anne. I answer to either. Linda's Daughter is a senior downsizing service. And what that means is we project plan the move. We help with the sorting out of what to bring, what to sell, what to donate, what goes in the trash. Hopefully that's a small pile. And then best of all, we get people all set up on the other end. And that's probably my favorite part because it's making them feel right at home right away. And we also do some aging in place, meaning that say somebody is coming home from a rehab center and their current living space isn't going to work well for them with some maybe different capabilities, we can make their current home livable for them. So that's what we do.
Excellent. Paul.
Thanks, Jim. My name is Paul Ellsworth. I am with Caring Transitions Indy West, so work more on the west side of Indianapolis, but we do decluttering, downsizing, liquidating, relocation, and provide clean out services. What I try to tell people that I do is just remove the stress from the feeling of being overwhelmed. And that's typically the question that I get first or the comment that I get first. I'm just so overwhelmed in this process and where do I start? So we help them put together a plan and help them work through that plan by providing assistance wherever they need it.
Okay, very good. Renee, I see your face right next to her.
Yeah. Well, we do the exact same thing that Paul does with downsizing and relocating. And my favorite part of what we do, really honestly, with my job is I love the relationship that we build with the people because go in, that free 1 hour consultation, we're getting to hear what their needs and what their goals are. It's so important to me to meet what they want and to do it. And sometimes, like I said, I might want a little bit more. Like if I looked at it, I think I would want something like a little more fast going. I like to go at their pace and make sure that we're identifying the things that are special and meaningful to them. And I like to go through that whole process with them so that at the end, when we are going through that journey with them, we are paying attention to some of those things that are important and taking that stress and saying, you know, I know that this is really important. Do you have a place to put it? And kind of rationally going through. But as you learn and get that relationship with them, that is my favorite part of all of the functionings that we do and paying attention to what their needs are. One of the big things is getting them set up and having that turnkey so that when you are getting somebody resettled in a new place, especially if you're moving into a senior community or something that's new. I mean, one of my favorite things is just getting them to meet some of the people that are in the facilities as we're going into the community and trying to make sure that they're going to start feeling at home as we are introducing them into their home and getting them. One of my favorite times was when I had this gal that was living in Speedway and she moved into a senior community and her friends took her out for 4 hours and they came back and she walked in the door and she said, both of her hands on her face and she said, it's my home, because we duplicated the walls exactly the way she had it, her bedroom exactly the way she had it. And she walked in and she was elated and she was having some forms of dementia. So it was very comforting. That's my joy for this job. And I love doing being able to facilitate all that stuff with that caring touch. So that's it.
Thank you. Cindy.
Cindy Garlock with Organizing Remedies. I'm a professional home organizer, like a few of the people on the call, it sounds like. And I'd like to help seniors let go of the non-important things so that they can keep the things that really matter for their life and things that they pass on. I also like to do whole home organization, where I think it's not just the one room, it's the starting from the beginning of the move. I focus on decluttering. I don't do actual moving, but I like to focus on the decluttering so that the less we have, the less the movers have to move, the less we have to unpack. And it just makes the process a lot smoother when there's just less, as many of you can attest to. And I like to also help people organize smartly. I do that by being compassionate with them, but offering a little bit of tough love, where at the end of the day, when they've spent more than they probably planned to, that they feel relieved and are really happy with the whole process, but yet they've let go of a lot of things that they didn't think they would do on their own. And I also like to be a resource for once they do move, that maybe they come across something they want to let go of, that I can be top of mind and have them, that I'm a resource for them, so that they can continue to let go of things that they maybe didn't want to move, they moved it, or they did want to move it, but once they get settled, they decided it's really not of value to them. So to be a resource in the future as well.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, I'll tell you what, one thing I do want to do this time is a little different than I've done in some of the other previous panels, is a lot of times we get through the whole panel and we really don't get into a great deal of detail on the scope of services that each company provides. So you guys have all done a really good job of giving us kind of over the top of what you do. But what I'm thinking about now is if there's any way we can possibly get a little bit more in depth. So Liz, I'm going to start with you. What is this? Who is Halo and what does that mean? And what do you guys do?
Sure. Halo Senior Solutions, basically we are an overseer. We do kind of hang at the top to oversee everything of the move. We get into the details when we meet with our clients. We offer a free initial consultation and we meet with the client and talk about what's going on, and we find solutions for them that are personally tailored for them. And we personally walk them through the move and the solutions to help them get from point A to point B. So the client themselves are actually making decisions along the way, and I'm helping them find vendors like all of you. I'm helping them find solutions, working on the solutions with them, and just guiding them through this whole process and managing it. Oftentimes clients will get stuck and they don't know what to do next or where to go or who to call. And so that's where I come in and I help them with it. they oftentimes don't want to even call family members for help. So they can call me anytime, and then I just reach out and reach back to them or answer the phone and talk to them and help them through all the things that are happening with them. I reassure them, just use a lot of compassion as we're going through this move. And oftentimes I'll see things that they're not even aware of that they need. I was just working with somebody who still needed a place before he could even move. He still needed a place to go to. So as I'm talking with him, he didn't have any kind of left side ability any longer. There was no strength. So I pointed out to him that he would need a right-handed shower and a right-handed toilet so that he would have the ability to help himself still and maintain a lot of his independence. So it gets pretty, it's very detailed and very personal to who I am working with in solving their solution and solving their problems and coming up with solutions for them. But I work with a team that's great. We'll also buy and sell houses. So we work with that side of that. A lot of our clients do like that because I work closely with them, and I help them get into the community as well. So I'm working on a lot of the paperwork that they have to. A lot of times people apply to a community or put a deposit down and they have a stack like this of paperwork that they have to go through, and they get stuck again. So I help them go through the paperwork. I work closely with the community and help them get that all done. So that's another, think of spinning plates. There's a lot of spinning plates. And so that's another plate that I'll keep spinning and get it into where it needs to go. So basically we'll help them connect with an attorney. We help them connect with movers and downsizers and floor planners and people who will pack and unpack, people who will clean out the house. We do that too. We find painters for them. We find people who will clean their carpet, who will replace the carpet. So we just work with all of it, and we keep everybody in the loop. Whoever, from family members to other vendors who need to know what's going on. Because once one step in the process gets stuck, that can delay everybody else. So.
Oh, very good. Ann, I'm promoting myself to friend now, so I'm just going to call you Ann. So,
If you get mad at me, Jim, go, Anne Marie.
Okay.
You get mad at me, call me Anne Marie for sure. And you know what, Liz, that was a great summary, and she truly does wear halo or angel wings. We've shared a few clients together and just work so well together because she's so organized and nothing falls through cracks, and there's no cracks for anything to fall through.
Thank you.
For sure. So, I'm going to guess everyone on this phone will say there's no two clients that are alike, right? Everybody is so different and every needs are so different. And that's what makes every job so fun. And it seems like I gather friends along the way as I work with people. For me, it all starts out with, let's start with the end in mind. Where do they want to go? And not just to a physical place, but how do they want their life to look and to function after the move, right? Is there a favorite hobby, like say sewing? That seems to be one. If they like to do needle crafts or have their cat or their dog, we build that into the plan so that their life can be rich and full and better. Not just different, right? Because they are moving out of a long-term home. So I start with a big long conversation around the why and what do you want the end to look like, because that guides success all the way through all the variety of steps. And so we have our consultation, we get into some of that, and then when they hire me, we're deep into it. And when I know their why, like a good example is, I'm moving because my kids worry about me living by myself. So I'm going to move to an independent living community 10 minutes from my kids. That's why I'm moving, because I don't want my kids to worry about me. They're always driving up here and they get so stressed out. So now we know that why. We can use that as a true north when we get down to some of the more difficult conversations around, taking the entirety of your home into 500 square feet. right? If we stick to the why, that helps those decisions. And then very tactically, we're using the laws of space and physics, make a floor plan. Okay, so here's your new living space. You absolutely want to bring your curio cabinet with all your collectible Gone with the Wind figurines. Okay, so we're going to build that in. Then let's see what else we can do. You know, you need a bed, and we look at your king size bed, or do you want to take the queen from the guest room? Get into all those things and let people make their own decisions based on space. Nobody's making any decisions for them, and they're always happy to hear that. My clients obviously want to make all the decisions, and I guide them to them using a floor plan tool. And once we know what we're bringing, they all get a sticker of that's going to go, and then it leaves, we sort out what could we possibly sell, give away to family or charity, and then hopefully the smallest pile, what needs to go in the trash. And from there, we execute on all those piles, get them moved in, send things out to maybe an auction. If it's smaller, I'll sell it myself on Facebook Marketplace if it's only a few items. And then donations. I encourage a lot of creative donations. Again, that helps with people parting with things. I make a lot of donations to the Humane Society. It seems like people have linen closets full of blankets. Humane Society loves blankets for their animals. Or empty pill bottles. You open up a cupboard and there's empty bottles. We just wash the labels off of those, and the Humane Society loves those, for example. So I think when people can connect to a charity, they're more likely to want to part with things. And then obviously we do the manage the actual move and manage the donation pickup, get them all settled in. We recently did a move with Halo, and at the last minute realized no shower curtain. Rod was packed, right? They were coming from out of state, so I didn't pack them. No shower curtain rod landed here in Carmel. We quick got a team member over to Myers, and he got a shower curtain rod so we could hang up the shower curtain, because we weren't leaving until that room was ready to be home for our client. So whatever it takes on that end to make them feel at home, we do it. And then on the aging in place, very similar process, reimagining that home so that it can live safely in it. Recently worked with a woman who gave up sewing because her sewing room was on the second floor, and she took to sleeping in an easy chair in the living room and never sewing because she couldn't do the stairs anymore. We recreated a bedroom on the first floor and a sewing room on the first floor so she could have safe one floor living and enjoy her home that she'd been in literally for 80 years. It was her parents' home that she bought from them. So she was been in that same home 80 years, and we made it so she could stay. So that's what we do.
Excellent. Paul.
Okay, well, Caring Transitions is a franchise organization, and we have over 200 locations across the country, the nation. So therefore, we offer, even the local support, but we also offer support for people that are moving on an interstate basis. So if somebody's moving from Indianapolis and going to Phoenix, Arizona, we can do everything on the front end, and then have a sister location down on the back end to do the unpacking and the resettling and that. So, not just the local experience, but also the nationwide. I have a couple that I'm working with right now, and they are moving into grandmother's suite at their daughter's house in Virginia. And so we're doing everything on the front end, emptying the house here so it can go on the market. But I've also connected at the end of the move with Caring Transitions location out there to take care of them. So again, as everybody's mentioned, there's no two jobs are, you get into so many different scenarios, and similar to what Anne Marie said is I kind of go to the end and figure out what's your end goal, and we work backwards from there. So we do the decluttering, sorting, and organizing the house and find the hidden gems that the family may have missed. We found cash, we found savings bonds. At the beginning of COVID, I found a respirator breathing machine, and we were able to take that and donate it to a hospital. We've found, I've got a job I'm working on this week. I found 3 urns. 2 of them were human, 1 of them is a dog, and there's no family involved in this process. So I'm not sure if legally cremains can go to the dump or not, but you know, the ethical, moral situation kind of kicks in. And so also in the house, I found a bronze medal. And in the box, there was a pin for the Army from World War II and from the Korean War. So today I took that to the Department of Veterans Affairs. I gave that to them. I also told them, I said, for this soldier, I have ashes. And they said, you know what, Paul, we want you to bring those here and we will, you know, properly take care of that. So it's those type of things that make me feel really good. I've got nobody to go back to and tell because there is no family involved. But those are the things that, you know, we like to, I think Renee said that it's a caring part. It would be easy just to take all that, throw it in a box and nobody would ever know. But, you know, there are things more important than just getting the job done, in my opinion. But so then we also do the estate sale and the liquidation part, which, you know, it is sometimes you have a hard time convincing people that things aren't worth $10,000 or $100,000 or $1 million. But what we hope through the liquidation is that we can just, you know, breaking even is awesome. So they get their house, which is their end goal, empty, and they don't have to write us a check. It is great if we get the opportunity to write them a check. But, you know, when they say, hey, I bought that couch at Broyhill 2 years ago for $2,300, and you tell them, we'll be lucky if we get 100 for it. You know, that's always a hard conversation to have, but you have to make sure that the expectations are manageable and, you know, they don't expect something that you can't provide. And then again, the final piece is, you know, providing the clean out and leaving the house, you know, in a clean manner for either to go on the market or, you know, that's lots of days we're walking out as the closing is happening. So you got to make the house presentable for the new owner.
Very good. Cindy, I think we'll go to you next.
Okay. What I like to focus on is the whole, I kind of said it in the past and I feel like I'm repeating what everybody else said. So ditto, I guess, but like to do the whole house decluttering. We set up a plan. I do free phone consults. We talk about, you know, just get the basics and then go from there. We make a plan, and I also do work backwards like everybody else does, figure out what the end plan is, but really spend some time at the beginning figuring out what their why is, like Anne Marie said, and just, I think it's important to remind them sometimes when the going gets tougher, it gets a little stressful, that we go back to that why, and that helps them refocus on what they're doing, why we're doing it. And maybe the plan, you know, it can change, but we try and customize it and go from that standpoint. One thing I do specialize in is virtual organizing. So in this pandemic, there's people that are concerned about having people in their home. Yes, we do the masks, we do the you know, the gloves, the whole thing, but sometimes people are just really concerned. So I've talked to people about doing virtual organizing, and it's more of a consult and a plan, talking through that. And sometimes they're doing their own organizing, and maybe we'll say, sometimes we stay on Zoom the entire time, and other times they are pretty good and they're healthy, but they're still needing to downsize. And so we can, you know, spend time on Zoom, or I can say, do you want me to check back in 45 minutes? And if you get stuck on something, go ahead and put it to the side. And then when we talk, we can figure it out and kind of talk through that like I'm there in person. So it's been really helpful to pivot my business a little bit to do virtual organizing and to be able to customize it. So that's what I focus on.
Oh, very good. Renee.
So you're asking me what I focus on? Well, everything.
Well, all the yeah. What's the scope of services?
Yeah, it is. I mean, and that is the. I mean, to me, like I said, my favorite part is the relationship. I love seniors. I love working with all people, and so I love it because there's no two jobs that are like. That's my candy. I go in, it's always a treasure finding events, and I love going back to the client and asking them, oh, you know, a little story about this or that, or something that we find. It's always a journey and a fun journey, and I love seeing them when they get settled in in their spot, and they're comfortable, and I love it because we go start to finish, and that makes it fun. Even when people have tried to say, okay, we're just going to do this a little bit, well, then they start enjoying the staff so much, then they want to continue on and they want us to come back and do more, which is such a great compliment. And so I just enjoy the people. I love the journey. I love seeing people making more connections, because a lot of times the one thing that we see, and everybody I'm sure on this panel has seen, stuff becomes so much maintenance and so high intense and so unfunctioning for our clients, that when they are downsizing because they're holding on to the stuff, they feel like they have to have the real estate to pay, to keep all this stuff. When they get to, I love seeing them when they are getting to a place where they can have a little more freedom, a little more functioning, a little less work, a little more interactions and connections with people. So people is always my connections with people favorite thing about this job. So
with for this is for anybody who wants to answer, and you can all chime in from this particular place. How often do you run into situations where the biggest challenge is the client is afraid to have you come in because they've lost control in their house? It's a mess. They don't really want you to see it. They're afraid that you'll judge them, all those kind of things. So I'll let you guys just kind of, whoever wants to start.
I think that's every client. It's funny to me. They're like, don't judge me, I have a bad Chico shopping habit, right? Or don't judge me, I haven't thrown away a Tupperware container in 30 years, right? Whatever it is. And say it's judgment-free zone, right? I think just about everyone has that. And the reality is we're all people, right? We're all flawed human beings with hanging on to stupid stuff, right? I think that's the great common denominator, is that we're all very human and everyone has too much of something.
one of my favorite things to say to our clients is that everybody has their one thing that they collect a bunch of, and every home, it's funny how similar each home is, because they are collecting stuff, but everybody saves that. We go through the same things, the same house, it's just a different location, but the same stuff that you're getting rid of. All the kids' stuff that you've saved, and all the extra dishes and the extra plates and the china that you never used. And and that's one of the things that I think, like I said, in letting them know that, hey, you're not alone. There's a ton of other people who, and we've had people who come in and I'm always like, you know what? When I get older and slower, I'm not going to pick up things as quick as I do now and keep on top of everything. So that's kind of one of the things that happens, is that's why you need to downsize, so you can get into the right sizing situation. So.
I think usually the ones that are the most worried are the ones that are the most tidy. The ones that they don't worry about it at all, and you walk in and it's like, wow, I'm not sure I would want to live in this, but they're not too worried about it. But it's the ones that keep an immaculate house and they think that it's the dirty one.
I think what's interesting is when I used to do free consults, and we would, they would say, well, how long is this consult going to be? And I'd say, oh, probably a half an hour. Oh, well, okay, a half an hour. But then once you'd get there and they would slowly open the door and you'd talk to them for a little bit, they would just kind of loosen up. And, well, as long as you're here, you want to see this area and this area and this area and this area. And it's funny, then they would hire me. And when I would go back, it would be kind of like, it's interesting, like starting over, where they don't want to really let you in. It's like, remember, I've already seen it. Let's get started. And they're like, oh yeah, I forgot. So I think that's really interesting. But I also think it's interesting that, they're always people always ask, like, am I the worst one? Am I the worst one? And of course we always say no, that you're not, because they are, we don't know what we haven't seen yet. But to give them some reassurance and grace to say, you know what, I know you're upset or embarrassed or stressed or anxious, but I'm here to relieve that for you. And one thing I like to say is, you're laughing everybody on the couch who hasn't made the call yet. You should be proud of yourself. You called, we're getting started. And that seems to, you see the shoulders relax a little bit, because they know you understand.
I would echo all of that too. And oftentimes if I'm the first person in, there's just so much embarrassment and shame from some people, and just letting them know that they're still a great person, that they have value, that they aren't alone, and that you'll walk through them with that journey is amazing relief on their part. And then I think the non-judgment especially, and they're just relieved that you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I find that, I used to schedule consults and then figure, when I was new and figure, oh, I'd come back in a couple of days or they'd have to think about it or whatever. But I started leaving 3 to 4 hours after a consult because I would say, well, when do you want to get started? And they would say, hey, what are you doing right now? Because once you walk in that door and they know that you can help them, they're like, please don't leave. I don't want you to leave. I want to start right now and start feeling better.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a great way to segue into the next step here is, all of you guys have, what I really wanted to do was to be able to show your professionalism, what you do, how long you've been doing, all that kind of stuff. Now we've got other folks that are going to be watching on this, or we're going to watch this video later, that are going, okay, I want to figure out how to do this myself. What kind of tips, what kind of advice would you give as professionals on how to get control of the clutter, how to get control and get organized? And now, obviously, the obvious answer is to call one of you, okay? But the secondary answer, what would you tell them? So whoever wants to start.
I always love having people telling them to start with the room that you don't use, set a timer, make sure that you have enough time to do like 10 or 15 minutes at a time, and a room that you're not using constantly, and start going there so you can keep going back. Start in the left side of the room and work your way around. And the big thing is to not put it in the hallway or move it to another spot. Put something in your car if you know that it's going to be going out, or get it outside, because once you get it out, then you can see the difference. And also take before and after pictures, because that makes you feel good at the end.
I think, Renee, you hit on something with the motivation of, in their brain, they logically say, I've got to do something about this garage, kitchen, TV room, fill in the blank. And that motivation might come and then it ebbs away. And so I would say, let's find the motivation so you can keep going on your own. And sometimes it's as small as, okay, I'm just going to do my kitchen drawers, right? Because they annoy me every day I open them. So I'm just going to do kitchen drawers. And then what I say, because I keep everything super simple, everything gets a 7th grade version from me. You make your 4 piles. You're keeping it, you're selling it, you're donating it, or it goes in the trash. If you make a maybe pile, you are just kicking the can down the road. And so I say 4 piles. And if you have to think for a half hour on, do I need 4 spatulas? Well, then take that half hour and think about it, because those 4 spatulas annoy you every day, right? So that's my advice, is just make those 4 piles, even if they're tiny little things like Post-it notes on your kitchen counter, because you're only doing your drawers. That's okay. If that's going to motivate you because you see that mess every day, then go for it. Or if it's your motivation is you want guests at Christmas, okay, well then tackle your guest room, right? That will keep you motivated because you have a deadline for it. I think that's a helpful way for people to get started if there's lots of clutter everywhere.
I agree. My mantra is 15 minutes. Just start with 15 minutes. Start your timer and do 15 minutes. But I agree with Anne Marie about starting the place that is making you crazy, that's making you anxious, that's stressing you out. And if they don't know because they're so overwhelmed, maybe, in the consult, you talk about that. Mm-hmm. And I try and, kind of gear people if they need to do their bedroom, to do their bedroom, so that when they work on other space, if they work on other spaces, because some people just bop all around, is when they're done, if they do their master bedroom, then when they do other spaces and they're done for the day, they have a small sanctuary in their house. And I think it comes from when I went to college, my mom, whenever they would unpack me and leave, they would always make sure that my bed was made. My mom, it was very important to her that my bed was made, because even if there were boxes everywhere and stuff everywhere and the toiletries weren't all unpacked, you had a place to lay your head. So I think that's why I feel strongly about that. On another quick note, one thing I'd like to suggest to my clients, and they kind of laugh, but is, well, not my clients, but if they need help, is to get something cold to drink, a big glass of what you like to drink, turn on your favorite music, take a deep breath and go. Because I think people, especially if it's got music with a beat, they kind of gets them a little energized, even though they don't realize they're a little extra energized. You got something cold to drink, so you're not going back to the kitchen, getting sidetracked in there unless you're working in the kitchen. But just those little tips, they feel like, okay, I can do, I can check things off. I got my drink, I've got my music on, okay, I'm ready to go. It seems to help people. It really does. It helps me, I know. So I figure it's got to help somebody else, make it a little more fun because they're dreading it. So if they got a little Billy Joel or whatever going on, it might make it a little easier for them, at least to get started, which is always the hardest part.
And I think it's important to make realistic and achievable goals. We all sit here with our spouse or our family and say, you know what, we're going to declutter this entire house this weekend. And it's not going to happen. But lots of times people think that. I talked with a client today, and she's lived in her house for 70 years. And yeah, that is right, 70 years. But, imagine what she would have to go through to try to declutter that house. One of the tips that I tell people when I'm, meeting with groups of seniors is, we did this in our house. Once the kids got out of the house, now all of a sudden the trash can starts going out to the curb with only one bag of trash in it. So I tell them, start in the beginning, that every time that trash can goes to the curb, it has to be full. And the first couple times it's easy because you're finding pillows that are 30 years old, and that fills up the trash can pretty easy. Then when you start getting down and the things become a little bit smaller, it's a little bit harder to do. But if you start soon enough and you have the time, that's a realistic goal. I tell people, if they leave a meeting with me, go home tonight, and the only thing I want you to do is that junk drawer in the kitchen. And we all have one. And you do that drawer, you stop and you celebrate however it is you celebrate, whether if it's a margarita, dance around the house, turn on the TV, read a book, whatever it is, and celebrate. So I think Renee said the before and after pictures, but you have to celebrate the accomplishments that you make and make them realistic and achievable.
That's all awesome. You guys are terrific at what you do. And I think when I visit with a client, it's usually at a point where they're so overwhelmed, their family doesn't want to help, and they are about ready to move. So I really encourage them to focus on what they want to take with them, as like, what do you really need or want to take with you? What's very precious to you to take with you when you go? And thinking about your space size. So they focus in on the few things that they want to take. And then I encourage them to look at the rest as just like, that's just stuff that we'll work with you to get rid of it. We'll work with you to donate it. We'll work with you, all the suggestions you all gave. But that helps them too, because then they can focus on looking forward, and then they also look at other things as not so important anymore, but it does motivate them.
I think it's a totally different mindset. Instead of, oh, this is for my grandma, this is for my grandma, this is for my grandma. And then at the end of the session, there's 19 items. And then instead of saying, well, what would you like to let go of or release or just get rid of? They're just like, oh, I can't decide. But if you say, like, I'll tell my clients, pick 3, depending on the number of items that are sitting on that table, pick 3. And it's just magical to watch them. I got chills just thinking about it. Like, I have to keep this. I have to keep this Bible. I have to keep this juicer because my grandma made juice for us every day, fresh juice, whatever. And then maybe after 3 items, they're like, oh, but can I have 4? Because I can just keep this one more, I just can't. But, maybe they keep 4 or 5, even 6. But if you would have told them 7 or 8, they would have kept 13. So you find out what's precious when you rephrase it like that, and you can just feel the magic of them being like, yes, this is important to me. I'm going to value this, and it's going to be precious.
That's really good, Cindy. One thing,
I'm sorry.
Thinking of the motivation when there's so much stuff, another thing that has worked well is if people are having a hard time getting rid of a number of whatever item it is, if they have a favorite church or charity, say, well, let's call them and see what's on their wish list. Oh, you need costumes for the school play. Okay, I've got 27 prom dresses here, right? Or whatever that charity might have on their wish list, and most of them do have a wish list, that can help my clients let go of multiples of things, because it's just clutter in their house, but somebody else in a group that they care about would find it so valuable and meaningful. So that's really helped with motivation in tough times too, is the connect with a charity. You know, I have one don't, and I want to see what everyone else here on the panel thinks. I've had people, mostly just friends of mine who know what I do, say, oh, I went to Target and I bought all the plastic tubs. We're going to get so organized with all the plastic tubs. And they're like, isn't that great? And I'm thinking, you just probably spent $100 to rearrange deck chairs on the Titanic, right? Like, if you're just putting stuff in tubs, I don't know that moves the needle, because you have the same amount of stuff. Now they're just stacked in tubs.
You go and how many times do you go down and look in a tub and pull something out? You don't have time.
Never.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
if you have to buy stuff to get your stuff organized, or then you
Yeah, look
don't
hard
need
enough.
the stuff. Yeah.
You have too much stuff.
I love, one of my favorite things that I've had some of my clients do is that if you take a little piece, like one of those little dots, everything you touch in a week, you put a dot on. And it's amazing, you see, because
Wow.
you use 20% of the 80% of stuff that you own or use. I mean, like, or even your
Oh
space.
my gosh.
Isn't
That's
that really good?
awesome.
Oh yeah, because then you're like, okay, this is what I use. Now, what do I love? And then you go to the next thing. So it's a nice little. Some people are, like I said, you can tell if there's certain clients you can do it with, certain clients you can't. But some people, they eat it up and they're like, oh, this is wonderful. So it's just one of those little tips.
I did that with my own clothes, because I lived by myself. I had a huge closet, so of course your clothes and shoes fill it up. And then I was getting ready to move. Right, it's like fish tank. It grows as big as its container. I was getting ready to move, and I was going to be sharing a walk-in closet half the size. And a friend of mine said, every time you wear a piece of clothes, get rid of that plastic hanger and buy the velvet hanger and replace it on the velvet hanger. By the time you move, because it was like a 6-month advance, you'll see what you wear. I literally wore 20% of my clothes. I did a massive purge, because you could see with your eyeballs, with your logical eyeballs, what you weren't wearing, right? Because they still had the old plastic hanger. What's that?
People always say, but sometimes I change sizes. I'm like, it's okay. The style won't be here then.
Or if you dieted yourself down to fit in those size 2s, congratulations, go buy new pants.
There you go.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, they say you wear 20% of your closet 80% of the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's true.
One of the time management, well, kind of the getting started tips that I had that I read the other day, I thought it was like mind blowing, was if people can't decide where to start, they make a list of 6 items that they really want to accomplish, and make them fairly even on, you know, how hard it's going to be or time it's going to take. And then if you literally can't decide, because that's what happens, people get stuck, they just don't know what to do, so they don't do anything, is list them 1 through 6, you roll a die, and whatever comes up is what you do.
Well, that's some tough love.
Isn't that fun?
That's a fun thing to do. I like that. It's a game.
Or it's forcing yourself into action. Yeah, that's a really good one.
I thought it was brilliant. When I heard it, I thought, that's great. I could use that for myself.
Let me ask you a question. Now, maybe none of you have ever run into this, but have you ever had anyone that goes, now I can't get rid of this stuff because this is my kids' stuff and they're going to want this, and then I've got, you know, this is grandmother's china, and so the kids are going to want that, and you know, I've got 3 sets of china, 1 for each one of the kids, and then we've got, you know, you probably never heard these things. I know that when I was cleaning out my parents' place, they had 50 years of the house, and they had a 50 by 72 pole barn that was full of stuff, and in one corner of the pole barn was Dad had bought a box truck, old U-Haul box truck, to put the good stuff. And when I went in to look in that, I think it was all my sister's stuff from college dorm. Okay, so I don't think we kept anything out of the good stuff in the truck. But I mean, do you ever run into people that
every time
we can't get rid of this because it belongs to XYZ, you know?
Or maybe they want it. Maybe my granddaughter wants this china, and I say, well, have you asked her? No, it would be her wedding. Oh, how old is she? 12. Yeah, that happens all the time.
I love saying, you're paying rent to store this. How much would you pay for a a storage unit because that's what you're doing in your house because you can't use that space because you've got so much stuff that you're storing.
Oh, that's brilliant. I like that.
And it was amazing. I had a gal who literally had, I mean, she had 2 rooms full of stuff that she was saving for her kids. And she said that they're going to want it. They're going to want it. They were all coming in town. I gave her that weekend. They came in town, nothing left. They all went through it, thought, oh, this is kind of fun. And then it all went to, it all went away. They didn't want it. Nobody wanted anything.
Nobody
So I'm
wants
like,
it.
I think a lot of people feel guilt, like they can't get rid of it because they feel guilty. If they get rid of it, somebody might be mad at them or something. It's a whole paradigm shift to think that they can get rid of this item that's been with the family. I know I just went through a personal move and I have some family stuff and I was like, I don't need to feel guilty about this. I just need to call somebody and say, hey, do you want this? And if they don't, then I can get rid of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had a client that was a man and woman couple, and they moved from Muncie, and they kept saying, as we were unloading all the boxes or unpacking all the boxes that were to the ceiling all around every wall, and oh, my kids will want that, my kids will want that. So we started putting it in the garage and just making a pile. And then one day for her birthday, they came over to, just put in some hours. I mean, she still paid me, but they put in hours. So we had 12 hands running around. It was the easiest job I ever had because I could be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, let's, move on. Just kind of project management. But they came over that day and they were literally like, we don't want any, that each kid took like one thing and the pile was just like almost half the size of a car. And it was just heartbreaking because they were like, we've been moving this stuff for you for 30 years. We've lived 3 homes. We've moved it for you. And they basically blankly said, you should have asked us before you moved. We would have told you no, and they're thinking they're saving it to, really so their kids can have it. And that's when I started my email newsletter and somebody joins, I send them a hi, welcome, that sort of thing. And one of the things I usually send is an article that says your kids don't want your stuff. If they're older, and I think that's what we're going to be working on. And it just nicely says, that either that, or if they're going to want it. I talked to somebody that had a poker table, and he was like, oh, my grandson's going to get that. And he's moving into an apartment. He's going to get it when I die, and so all of a sudden I thought, why don't you give it to him now? And he's like, well, he'll get it when I die. And I said, but he's moving into an apartment. You taught him how to play poker. How cool would that be? You get it out of your house. You get to see him enjoy it. He'll probably invite you over for poker night. You can have all those memories. He was like, mic drop, right? So let them enjoy it now.
And it was a real life situation for me, but one of the things I tell people is everybody wants something as long as it's stored at your place. And that's what my parents did. They had stuff from grade school or whatever, and then I started coming, and I'd come down to visit, and my dad would open up the garage and he'd say, you see those 3 boxes there? I say, yes, sir. And he'd say, either they go with you today or they go in the trash. And I'd go through them and better throw them in the trash, Dad. But yeah, when it's sitting at Mom and Dad's house, absolutely, I want your couch. But if they told me take it out of here today and no, I don't want it. One of the things, again, you have to ask the question, and then I tell people, even as it's getting closer to closing on the house, and they're saying, well, my son may want this and my son may want that, then you need to give them a deadline, and you tell them this needs to be out by August the 15th, or I'm going to donate it, I'm going to sell it, I'm going to trash it. But you have to put the deadline on it and then stick to it.
Okay, and Paul, tell me you do not have anything at your dad's and mom's house anymore, right?
No, I have nothing in their house anymore.
One thing that I've had to do with a family whose children were scattered all over the U.S. and we're saving this for Susie and this for Joey, lots of that. We just I made a Google Doc that we could share across the land with links and pictures and descriptions, and a column of put your name on it if you want it. The kids and I all knew what was going to happen, but Mom and Dad needed to see what was going to happen. And we shared it and everybody looked, and it came back with like 2 items wanted. And
they pay for shipping, right?
And actually it was like baseball cards and some old vinyl albums. That was it. Little things. But like the wingback chairs or the old fake Christmas tree, nobody wants. But it was a good exercise to go through because then mom and dad could let it go with no guilt, right? Because it was like you said, Renee, oh, the kids are coming, they're going to come and look. Well, the kids are all over and they've got their own small children and we're in a pandemic, right? They couldn't get here, but the family needed to move, or the mom and dad needed to move. So that was the best exercise to help them see with their eyeballs on a spreadsheet that their children did not want those items, except for very few things.
And it's always the things that the parents don't expect. You think they'd want, like you say, the wingback chair and this and the old couch, and no, they want, you know, the Christmas records that dad played at Christmas time every year. That's what they want. They want the memories.
I will tell you a personal anecdote of something I did finally, because we had the boys' room was a shrine to their athletics. Okay, so it was, the walls were covered with brackets and medals and trophies and what have you, and I couldn't throw posters of, you know, their brackets for winning states and national championships and stuff. I just couldn't. There's no way. So I ended up buying these storage containers and put all them in there. And then when I went to their houses, I just, here's all your stuff. What they do with it is up to them. It's in a safe place. The mice won't get to, it won't get wet, but it's out of my house. You know, so that was but they were there until that's only happened in the last year. Okay, so, and the boys have been, you know, they're in their 30s. So, you know, that's, you know, it was time to move the trophy walls away, you know, so.
That's a great idea.
But I had to do something because I couldn't, I mean, it literally was a shrine in there. There was no wall space that it wasn't covered.
Well, yeah, if they won't come to you and take their stuff, then you take their stuff to them.
Yeah.
And then they can decide how bad they want to store it.
Here's my gift to you, you know, so, yeah. So tell me what, we're getting down towards like eight minutes or so left. What kind of things would, I guess it's just coming down to, you know, you're dealing with, I guess, how do you have that conversation? As we've kind of been talking about this a little bit already, or quite a bit, but how do we have the conversation of what's important and what can, you know, what can be moved on that the kids aren't going to want? I mean, because kids say, what are the things that kids don't want? It's China, it's pianos, it's a lot of things that the parents or the generation previous believe are going to go on. But give us a litany of the things that they might want to realize, a kind of a wake-up call.
Brown furniture.
Big brown, big brown.
Yeah, all that heavy oak, detailed, carved, heavy stuff.
Come across a lot of doll collections too. Nobody wants doll collections anymore.
Anything Franklin Mint, Bradford Exchange.
Oh, precious moments.
Precious moments.
Yeah.
Beanie Babies.
People are going to retire on
Hummels aren't
Beanie
worth anything anymore. The Hummels are not worth anything.
No. And you know, when people, I've sat with clients and they're like, well, all right, I'm going to sell my collection of precious moments. It's probably, I've spent a lot of money on that. I got that for gifts for many years. It's probably worth a lot. I pick up my phone and say, let's just do a quick check on Facebook Marketplace. So it's not me saying it, it's somebody else saying it, and they'll look like $1. And so that's a little dose of reality in a kind way. And I encourage anybody, if they're thinking they're going to sell something and make a whole bunch of money on it, look at Facebook Marketplace or eBay. Maybe they'll be happily surprised. I just helped a client get rid of a bunch of collectible G.I. Joes and a tub of them. And I took them to the eBay store and they got like $490 after all the commissions. And so
they look at the sold on when they look up things, not what people are asking for the price. Because VHSs can go for $5,000. They're like, well, look, it's worth $5,000. I'm like, no.
And what I
Never
frequently tell
sold.
people, it's only worth what people are willing to pay.
Right.
And yeah, so maybe they are sitting on some gems like that tub of old GI Joes, but probably not.
And for the other 5,000 items that they could, that they need to let go of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had a wake up call the other day. Is I collected an artist for a long time, all limited edition, signed prints, and for a while they were really going up. Okay, and then I hadn't paid any attention for a long time, and I started doing Google search because he died. I thought, well, that means it makes them more valuable, right? And $10, so it's like, it's like, oh, so I'm not retiring on that collection. So, but
Costs more to ship it than what you'll get for it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, guys, I'm really excited. I think we've done a really good job here. I do want to go ahead and do something real quick because I'm going to, bear with me for a second because I've got an audience. So I'm going to take advantage of it. We have hungry people that are out and about, and so maybe we can help feed them. So this hat is it's called Get Involved. I don't know if you can see that or not, but Get Involved, and it is get-involved.in, and get this cool hat. And it's $25, and $10 of it goes to feed people in Central Indiana. So anyway, I thought I'd go ahead and kick that off. So might as well, because I have an audience. I'm going to take advantage of it because why not? Okay. I see it. Somebody has okay. We got great tips. Thank you. So you're getting love from the audience already. So I want to go there, and let me go and do a real quick screen share again because I want to show people what's coming up. Okay, on August 13th, we're having that family talk when mom or dad needs more help. This is not an easy conversation for any of you that have ever been through it, and we got a great team for that one. This one is coming up for Rolling for Hope fundraiser. This is it's one of our Life's Co-Pilot members. These guys are a free hospice. Morning Light Inc. They do a free hospice. So that's a fundraiser for them. And then we have another one August 25th. That's going to be about modification for senior-friendly living. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up. You can always go to Life's Co-Pilot to see what events are coming up and what they are on the thing. You can look at Life's Co-Pilot Facebook page, and you'll be seeing things on there. But I want to thank all of our attendees. I want to thank all of our panelists. I think you guys did a great job, and like always, it always ends too soon. You guys were phenomenal. I really appreciate it. Anybody have anything you want to say in the last minute here?
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. And this video I'll be sending to all the panelists a copy of the YouTube so you can use in however you guys want to use it. And it'll be on Life's Co-Pilot as well. So you can get a chance to find it on the website. You can also find it on the Life's Co-Pilot Facebook page. So see you all. Thank you so much for coming. And now go out and get decluttered, I guess.
I didn't think.
Bye-bye, y'all.
Have a great one. Thanks, guys.